At Mobile World Congress 2026, I expect the conversation for IoT deployment to move beyond just accessibility and connectivity. We are looking more and more into scalability, resilience, and more importantly, security. The industry has already proven that devices can be connected. The challenge now comes into how can we globally manage all these connected devices in a secure and also efficient and simplifications of deployment. So I see this to be a critical, themes and topics around it. And of course, as connectivity is a core component, what is maybe essential going forward is how connectivity stays continuous. So the next interesting, theme is how hybrid connectivity come into play, how it can seamlessly move from one cellular to private network and even to satellite connectivity. As IoT deployment goes global, it needs, as mentioned in the previous question, that it needs the hybrid connectivity in order to maintain a continuous service. This is especially essential in the context of IoT industry, especially, for example, in the context of automotive, where vehicles are out in the field 10 to 20 years. So it should easily be able to switch connectivity from a private network, which is in maybe a factory setup, to a cellular or public network, as we call it, once it gets out into the road to the user. And finally, very importantly, is that it should continue to have accessibility towards other connectivity like satellite, because it might find itself in, let's say, challenging and remote location where neither public nor private network connectivities are around. So this is where that's essential. And of course, coming to zero-touch deployment, that touches the actually second critical challenge that I see in IoT deployment, that is scalability and the flexibility to address and manage all these devices. So this is where, we have to move away from SIM logistic and having someone to manually take out a SIM and do a SIM insertion. And that's where this zero-touch deployment is essential. And this is where standard-driven specifications such as SGP.32 is facilitating the deployment of eSIM in a wide scale. And of course, very important to take into context is as well the in-factory profile provisioning, which is also being currently defined in SGP.42. And I believe that the combination of these two will help drive the IoT deployment in a much more flexible and scalable and efficient manner. The next generation of IoT connectivity goes beyond just pure access to connectivity. So we have already briefly touched on that in the last two questions. The theme is again still the same, resilience, scalability, and the hybrid connectivity approach, which is essential going into all these different type of terrains and connectivity availability. But more importantly, this is something we haven't exactly addressed in the last two questions, is security. So with IoT devices or IoT market segment, we are addressing devices that might be out in the market for the next 10 to 20 years. So for example, automotive vehicles, minimum, you always have to look into at least 20 years. And this is where long-term security comes into play. And with the rise of quantum computing gaining more prominence nowadays, we need to look also into crypto agility in order to be post-quantum cryptography ready. And this is where I see that connectivity provider goes from just pure connectivity to provide connectivity, let's put it this way, into also managing the life cycle of the device itself through all these different topics and themes.